my husband let out a smirk and said, "My ex is going to be at Christmas dinner. Don't make things uncomfortable. Behave yourself for once." I agreed, of course, pretending it didn't sting. What he didn't know was that I had already sent out an invitation of my own. When the doorbell rang, his face went white as a sheet, and the room plunged into absolute silence. "Don't make things uncomfortable. Behave yourself for once." Hudson doesn't even look up from his phone as he says it, just takes another sip of his whiskey like it's nothing, as if he were reminding me to pick up the dry cleaning instead of ordering me to welcome his ex-girlfriend to our Christmas dinner. I'm standing in our Lincoln Park apartment with a dishcloth in my hand, still damp from scrubbing the plates he barely touched. For a second, I can't move or breathe. The words hang between us like poison. Behave yourself for once. Before I go on, sign up to support stories of women reclaiming their power. It's free and helps us reach more people who need to hear this. Now, let's see what happens next. As if I'm the problem. As if I'm some unruly child who needs constant correction, instead of the wife of 4 years who has done nothing but shrink herself to fit into whatever box he wants. "Of course, darling," I say, my voice sweet. "Whatever you say." He finally looks at me and gives me that self-satisfied smirk that used to make my heart race. Now it just turns my stomach, because Hudson has no idea, no clue at all, that I've already been through his phone. I know exactly why Willow is really coming to dinner, and I've also invited a guest of my own. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up a little and tell you how I became this woman. The one standing in a high-end kitchen, swallowing humiliation with a smile, and plotting revenge from behind a facade of impeccable manners. 4 years ago, I thought I'd won the lottery when Hudson Whitmore proposed. We met at a corporate gala where I was the event coordinator. Making sure the ice sculptures didn't melt, the champagne kept flowing, the silent auction ran smoothly. He was there representing Morrison & Blake, the investment firm where he was a rising analyst. He was handsome in his tailored suit, confident with the ease of old money and Ivy League degrees. He was charming when he wanted to be. He pursued me with the same intensity he applied to his stock portfolios, flowers delivered to my office, reservations at restaurants I couldn't afford, weekends at his family's lake house in Wisconsin. He made me feel special, chosen, as if I were the only woman in Chicago who mattered. 6 months later, he proposed. A year after that, we were married in a ceremony orchestrated down to the last millimeter by his mother, at a venue paid for by his parents, with a guest list that included more of his colleagues than my friends. I should have seen the signs, but I was young, 26 to his 31, and I mistook control for care, possessiveness for devotion. The changes started slowly, suggestions that became firm opinions that became unspoken rules. "That dress is a little much for a work dinner, don't you think? Something more understated would be better. Your friends are nice, but they aren't really our crowd. Why don't we focus on networking with people who can benefit us both? Event planning is a fine hobby for a single girl, but you're my wife now. You don't need to work. We don't need the money. And frankly, Bella, coordinating birthday parties isn't a real career." That last one came 8 months into our marriage. I had just been promoted to senior coordinator at the boutique agency where I'd worked for 3 years. I loved the creativity, the problem-solving, the satisfaction of a perfectly executed event. But Hudson framed it as a privilege. "Stay home," he'd said. "Take care of the apartment. Be my wife. Isn't that what you want?" I wanted to be a good wife. I wanted him to be proud of me. So I quit my job. 3 years later, my days are spent in this beautiful apartment that feels more like a showroom than a home. Everything is in shades of gray and cream, sophisticated, mature, expensive. Hudson's taste, not mine. I would have chosen color, warm terracottas and deep blues, something with life. But Hudson said vibrant tones were tacky and suburban, so Hudson won. I fill my hours redecorating, rearranging, and hosting dinner parties for Hudson's colleagues and their wives. They are always polite but distant, talking about their jobs in law, medicine, finance. Then they look at me and ask what I do. And I have to say, I'm a homemaker. I see the look in their eyes change. Pity, judgment, I'm never sure which. Hudson comes home late almost every night. Working late, he says, never elaborating on which deals keep him at the office until 9 or 10 p.m. I learned not to ask. The one time I questioned if he really needed to be at the firm so much, his voice turned sharp. Not angry, but a warning. Bella, I'm building our future. Do you think this lifestyle pays for itself? The apartment, the car, your credit card. Someone has to do the actual work. I stopped asking. I became the perfect wife. I learned to have dinner ready the moment he walked in the door, to keep the apartment looking like a magazine cover, to dress the way he liked, to smile and nod at his work dinners while the other wives talked about court cases and surgeries and market trends. I learned to make myself smaller. Tonight was supposed to be different. It was October 20th, no special occasion, but I wanted to do something nice. I'd spent the afternoon cooking Hudson's favorite meal, pan-seared salmon with a lemon butter sauce, Parmesan roasted asparagus, and wild rice from scratch. I set the table with our wedding china, a gift from his parents, white with a gold rim. I lit candles, opened a bottle of wine, and put on the navy blue dress he liked. Hudson came home at 9:14 p.m., barely glanced at the table, and went straight to the bar cart. And then he told me about Willow. Willow Brennan. The college ex-girlfriend he'd dated for 2 years before he met me. I knew about her. Hudson mentioned her from time to time, always in that nostalgic tone that made it clear she was in a different league. Willow thinks the tech sector is overvalued. Willow recommended this restaurant. Willow always understood complex financial instruments like no one else. I'd felt pangs of jealousy for years but dismissed them. She was in Boston, a partner at a powerful law firm, living a different life. She was the past. I was the present, until she moved back to Chicago, and Hudson decided she should come for Christmas dinner. It's important to me, Bella, he said, as if that should be enough. We're still close friends. She'll be alone for the holidays, and I think it's the right thing to do to include her. I suggested inviting my sister, Claire. She's been asking to visit, and her kids would love to see the city at Christmas, but Hudson shut it down immediately. Your sister talks too much. Besides, this isn't about her. Willow is moving here permanently. She's going to be in our circle, and I need you to be mature about this. And then came the line that is still echoing in my ears. Don't make things uncomfortable. Behave yourself for once. For once, as if I'm always causing trouble, as if I'm a constant source of embarrassment, as if I'm never living up to some standard he's never even bothered to explain. I smiled and said yes, because that's what I do now. That's what I've become. But 2 nights ago, I stopped being that woman. 2 nights ago, I couldn't sleep. Hudson was snoring beside me, one arm thrown across my half of the bed, and his phone on the nightstand kept lighting up with notifications. Usually I ignore them: work emails, market alerts, nothing that concerns me. But that night, something made me look. The screen was unlocked. A message from W was visible in the preview. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. I miss you so much. My heart hammered against my ribs. I picked up the phone with trembling hands and opened the conversation. What I saw shattered me. Months of messages, hundreds of them. Hudson and Willow had never really cut contact while she was in Boston. They had been meeting up on his work trips. The trips I helped him pack for. The trips I saw him off with a kiss. The trips I welcomed him home from without a single suspicion. They weren't innocent catch-ups between exes. They were intimate, steamy, full of longing and inside jokes and plans for a future. Willow, I miss you. I can't stand being in different cities anymore. Hudson, me too. This has been hell. Does she suspect anything? Hudson. God. No. Bella's too busy with throw pillows and dinner parties to notice anything. She's harmless. Harmless. That word appeared over and over. He described me as harmless, simple, easy to manage, easy to control. Willow, you always said she was simple. Hudson, that's why I married her. Easy to manage, easy to control. Not like you. You were always my equal. I lay there in the dark, reading message after message, watching my marriage curdle into something ugly and calculated. Hudson hadn't married me for love. He'd married me because I was manageable, because I wouldn't argue, wouldn't compete, wouldn't demand too much. I was the safe choice, the easy choice, the simple choice, but it was the most recent messages, from just 3 days ago, that changed everything. Hudson, I'll talk to her about Christmas tomorrow. Start laying the groundwork. Willow, do you think she'll get the hint? Hudson, eventually. I need her to be the one to file for divorce. It looks cleaner that way. My lawyer says if she initiates it, I come out looking like the victim. Plus, the prenup kicks in. She signed it without even reading it. She'll walk away with almost nothing. Willow, you're evil. Hudson, I'm practical. By New Year's, she'll be out, and we'll be in. No more hiding. I put the phone back exactly where I found it. My hands steady now. The hurt from before had transformed into something cold and dangerous. Hudson wanted me to file for divorce so he could play the martyr and keep everything, thanks to a prenup I'd signed, blind with love, 4 years ago. He wanted me to humiliate myself by serving Christmas dinner to his mistress. He wanted me to behave while he dismantled our marriage on his terms. He thought I was too simple to notice, too harmless to fight back. He was wrong. The next morning, I made him his favorite breakfast, eggs Benedict with homemade hollandaise, and I smiled as he barely looked up from his tablet. I asked about his day and laughed at his clipped responses. I played the part perfectly because I had already made up my mind. If Hudson wanted to play a game, I was going to change all the rules. That afternoon, while he was at the office, I took the prenup out of the fireproof safe in his study. I had signed it 4 years ago without reading it, too in love and too trusting to imagine I would ever need it. Now I read every word. The terms were brutal. If I initiated a divorce before the 5-year mark, I would receive a one-time payment of $50,000 and nothing else. Not the apartment, even though the down payment had come from my grandmother's inheritance. No alimony. No share of his retirement plans or investments. I would be out on the street. But there, on page 17, buried in legal jargon, I found something Hudson's lawyer must have hoped I'd never see. An infidelity clause. If adultery on the part of Hudson P. Whitmore could be proven, the entire prenuptial agreement would be rendered null and void, and assets would be divided according to Illinois state law. Proven adultery. I took photos of every single message and sent them to a secret email account I'd created. Then I put the document back exactly as I'd found it. Hudson thinks I'm simple. He thinks I'm harmless. He's about to find out just how wrong he is. So now I stand here, dishcloth in hand, as he swipes through his phone, with no idea that I know everything, and I feel something I haven't felt in years. Power. He wants Willow at Christmas dinner. Fine. She'll be here. But so will a few other guests Hudson isn't expecting. And by the time I serve dessert, everyone in this apartment is going to understand exactly what kind of man Hudson Whitmore really is, and exactly what kind of woman I've become. The morning after Hudson's Christmas dinner announcement, I wake up with a clarity I haven't had in years. He's already left early for a business breakfast downtown, or so the note on the counter says. I don't believe him anymore. Every word out of his mouth now feels like a potential lie, every excuse a reason for suspicion. I make coffee and sit at the kitchen island with my laptop, staring at the screen as steam rises from my mug. I need help. Professional help. The kind of help that turns suspicions into evidence that holds up in court. I spent most of the night, after Hudson finally fell asleep, scouring online forums, support groups for women leaving controlling marriages, legal advice threads about prenups and Illinois divorce law, resources I never dreamed I'd need. That's where I found the recommendation. Carmen Delgado, private investigator, ex-Chicago PD detective, specializing in infidelity cases. 3 different women on the forum had used her, and they all sang her praises. She believed me when no one else would. She got me the proof I needed to protect myself. I send her an email before I can second-guess myself. It's short and to the point. I need to document my husband's infidelity. Can we meet? The reply comes in less than an hour. Coffee shop in Wicker Park, 2 p.m. today. Back table, blue jacket. I spend the morning in a strange limbo, going through the motions of my routine while my mind races. I make the bed with perfect hospital corners, the way Hudson likes. I wipe down countertops that are already spotless. I reply to a text from my sister, Claire, asking if we're still on for our monthly lunch next week. Of course. Can't wait to see you. I haven't told her anything yet. Claire has never liked Hudson. She says I changed after we got married, that I became quieter, less myself. She's told me 1,000 times that I deserve better, but I'm not ready to hear an "I told you so," even though she's too good a sister to ever actually say it. At 1:30 p.m., I change into jeans and a sweater, nothing that screams I'm on my way to hire a PI to tail my cheating husband, and head out. Wicker Park is bustling, the lunch crowd thinning out. Young professionals, artists, and students fill the sidewalks. The coffee shop is on a corner, all big windows and mismatched furniture trying to look vintage. I see Carmen immediately. A woman in her early 50s, dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, sharp eyes that scan me the second I walk through the door. She's wearing the promised blue jacket. She stands and extends a hand. "Bella, thanks for coming. Sit." She gestures to the chair across from her, where a laptop and a leather-bound notebook are already set up. A half-finished coffee sits in front of her. "Can I get you anything?" "My treat." "I'm fine, thank you." She watches me for a second, and I feel like she's cataloging me. The way I sit, the tension in my shoulders, the fact that I'm not wearing my wedding ring. I left it on the bathroom counter this morning next to his cologne, without really thinking about it. "All right," Carmen says, her voice low and professional. "Tell me what's going on." I'd rehearsed it on the drive over, but now the words get stuck. Saying it out loud makes it real in a way it wasn't before. My husband is having an affair with his ex-girlfriend. I finally get out. They've been seeing each other for at least a year, maybe longer. She's moving back to Chicago, and he's invited her to our Christmas dinner. He told me to behave. Carmen's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in her eyes. Recognition, maybe. She's heard stories like this before. "How do you know?" she asks. "I saw messages on his phone. Hundreds of them. They're planning a future. He wants me to file for divorce so he can play the victim. And there's a prenup that would leave me with almost nothing if I do, but there's an infidelity clause." Carmen nods, unsurprised. Page 17. "If you can prove he cheated, the prenup is void. You need proof. Documented, irrefutable proof." Carmen opens her notebook. "I've been doing this for 15 years, 20 on the force before that. I've seen every version of this story, and I'll tell you right now, once you start down this path, there's no going back. Once you see the evidence, the photos, the surveillance footage, you can't unsee it. Even if you already know, seeing it is different. Are you sure you want to do this?" I think of Hudson's smirk last night, of the way he tossed off "behave yourself" like it was nothing. I think of the messages where he called me simple, harmless, easy to manage. "I already know," I say. "I just need the proof." Carmen's face softens. Just a fraction. It's not quite a smile, but it's close. "Then let's get started." She pulls a standard contract from her folder and walks me through the terms. Her rates are reasonable, less than I expected. She tells me what she'll do. Physical surveillance, digital forensics if necessary, documentation of all meetings and communications. She asks for details. Hudson's work schedule, the places he frequents, the security on his devices. I tell her everything. Morrison and Blake, the late nights, Willow Brennan, the Christmas dinner. I give her his license plate number, his office address. Carmen jots it all down in her leather notebook, her handwriting surprisingly neat for someone who spent 2 decades on the streets. "One more thing," she says as I finish. "Does your husband suspect anything?" "No. I'm still the perfect wife. He thinks I'm too busy with home decor and dinner parties to notice anything." "Good," she says. "Keep it that way. The second he thinks you're building a case, he'll lock everything down." Right now, he's sloppy because he feels safe. We want him to stay that way. I nod, a strange mix of relief and terror washing over me. This is really happening. I'm really doing this. I'll start tomorrow, Carmen says. I'll send you updates every few days via encrypted email to an account you specify. Nothing that can be traced back to your regular email or phone. I give her the address for the secret account. Good, she says, with a nod of approval. You'd be surprised how many people don't think of that. We shake hands, and I walk out of the coffee shop feeling lighter than I have in days. I'm not alone in this anymore. I have an ally, someone who believes me, someone who is going to help me fight back. The next 2 weeks pass in a strange haze. I maintain my routine perfectly. The doting wife, the gracious hostess, the one who smiles and asks about Hudson's day even when I know exactly how he spent it. Carmen sends updates every 3 days. The first email contains photos of Hudson and Willow at the bar in the Four Seasons lobby. They are sitting close, his hand on her knee. It's 2:15 p.m. on a Thursday, right in the middle of the client lunch he told me he had. The second has video footage. Carmen followed him to a parking garage on Randolph Street. They are kissing like teenagers, leaning against Hudson's car, before they get into their separate vehicles. It's grainy, but it's clear. Irrefutable. The third email contains bank statements. Carmen has a contact who was able to pull the activity on the corporate Amex I'm not authorized to see. The story is clear. Jewelry from Tiffany's. Dinners at restaurants he's never taken me to. A weekend at a resort in Lake Geneva when Hudson swore he was at a conference in Milwaukee. I look at the receipts and feel nothing. The hurt has burned away. All that's left is a cold calculation. This is ammunition. This is leverage. This is power. But it's Carmen's fourth email that changes everything. It contains only 3 words. Call me. I found something you need to know. I wait for Hudson to leave for work, then I dial her number. Willow Brennan works at Morrison & Blake, Carmen says, without any preamble. The same firm as your husband. She started 3 months ago. My stomach drops. They're colleagues. More than that. He's up for partner. And Bella, there's more. Carmen pauses. I ran surveillance on her, too, just to get the full picture. She's seeing someone else besides your husband. What? Richard Morrison, the founding partner of Morrison & Blake. Married, 3 kids. I've got pictures of them at Alinea last week, the Peninsula 2 weeks before that. She's playing them both. I sink into a chair, my mind reeling. Willow isn't just Hudson's mistress. She's juggling affairs, using both men to climb the corporate ladder. I pulled her phone records, Carmen continues. Lacks security. She uses the same password for everything, no 2-factor authentication. I was able to extract text messages between her and Morrison. Do you want me to send them? Yes. They arrive 10 minutes later, and they are devastating. Willow refers to Hudson as desperate and clingy. She tells Richard that Hudson is just a diversion, a way to pass the time until Richard leaves his wife. She is playing them against each other, and neither of them knows. I stare at the messages, and something clicks into place. A plan, not just to expose Hudson's affair, but to expose all of it, all of Willow's lies, all of her manipulation, to get them all in a room together and watch the whole house of cards come tumbling down. I call Carmen back. Are you open to something a little unconventional? There's a beat of silence on the other end, then a low chuckle. Honey, I live for unconventional. What do you have in mind? I need to contact Richard Morrison, anonymously, and I need to tell him what his girlfriend is really up to. You want to invite him to your Christmas dinner? Exactly. With his wife. She deserves to know, too. That's bold, Carmen says. It's also potentially brilliant. You'll need ironclad proof. He won't believe you without it. Can you get me screenshots of those messages? Anything else you have? I can do better than that. I'll put together a full dossier. Photos, receipts, a timeline of the affair, everything. You send it to Morrison, let him verify it for himself, and then you invite him to watch the show. Can you help me write an email that can't be traced? Of course. Let's meet again. This is going to take some planning. I hang up and walk to the window, looking out over Lincoln Park. Families are walking their dogs, couples are jogging. The city is moving on, unaware that my life is about to detonate and rebuild itself into something new. Hudson thinks I'm harmless. He thinks Christmas dinner is going to be the beginning of the end of our marriage, with me quietly bowing out and filing for divorce like the obedient little wife he's molded me into. He has no idea. Christmas dinner is going to be the end, all right, just not the one he's expecting. 3 days later, I meet Carmen again, this time in a quiet corner of a library in Logan Square, where no one can overhear us. She's already there at a back table, her laptop open, a stack of printed documents beside it. "I've got it all organized," she says in a low voice as I sit down. Photos, statements, phone records, a timeline of their meetings. It's airtight. She slides a folder across the table. I open it and see my marriage documented in raw, clinical detail. Hudson and Willow in hotels, in restaurants, in his car, the date and time stamped on every image. The expenses he hid from me while telling me we needed to be frugal. "This one is for Morrison," Carmen says, tapping another folder. Similar evidence, but focused on his relationship with Willow. I've pulled the texts where she calls Hudson a distraction, where she refers to him as desperate and clingy. I look at the proof, and the cold resolve in my gut solidifies. This is real. This is happening. "We need to draft the email to Richard Morrison," Carmen says. "You can't use your regular email. He'll trace it, and the whole thing will blow up." I know. That's why I opened an account on Proton Mail. I show her on my phone. Completely anonymous, completely untraceable. Carmen looks impressed. "You've done your homework." I've had a lot of sleepless nights. We spend the next hour drafting the email together. Carmen's experience as a detective shines through. She knows how to phrase things to be compelling without being threatening, how to present facts in a way Morrison will take seriously. The final version reads, "Mr. Morrison, you don't know me, but I know you. More importantly, I know Willow Brennan, the associate at your firm who is up for partnership. I am writing because I believe you deserve to know the truth about the woman you are involved with. Miss Brennan is also in a relationship with another man at your firm, Hudson Whitmore, a senior investment analyst. They have been together for over a year, and she is planning to spend Christmas with him and his wife. I have proof photos, text messages, hotel receipts. If you are interested in verifying what I'm telling you, reply to this email. You seem like a successful man with a lot to lose. Willow Brennan is playing you both, and I thought you should know before she does any more damage. A concerned friend." "That's good," Carmen says, looking over my shoulder. "No drama, no accusations, just facts." He'll respond, "How do you know?" Because men like Richard Morrison can't resist a mystery, and their egos won't let them ignore the possibility that they're being made a fool of. "You should send it when you get home," she says, closing her laptop. After Hudson confirms tonight that Willow is coming to dinner, after he's asleep, Carmen nods. "Once you send it, there's no turning back. You're committed." I know. That night, Hudson gets home at 8 p.m., earlier than usual. He's in a good mood, whistling as he comes through the door. It takes everything I have not to flinch, not to let my mask slip. "Good day?" I ask, stirring the pasta sauce. "Great day. Closed a huge deal." Morrison was thrilled. He comes up behind me, kisses the top of my head. A month ago, it would have made me melt. Now, my skin crawls. "Carbonara. Your favorite. You're the best, Bella." He pours us both a glass of wine. He even serves me first. "I was thinking," he says over dinner, "maybe this weekend we could go Christmas shopping. Get something nice for Willow. What do you think? A scarf? Something classy?" I grip my wooden spoon. He wants me to help him pick out a gift for his mistress. What a lovely idea. "Cashmere, maybe," I say. "That's very refined. Perfect. This is why I knew you'd be mature about this. You're always so gracious." We finish dinner, and Hudson actually talks about his day, about the deal, about his plans for the next year. It's almost like it used to be, except now I know it's all an act. He's buttering me up, making sure I won't make a fuss about buying gifts for Willow. I smile and nod and ask the right questions, and inside, I'm counting down the minutes until he goes to sleep. At 11:30 p.m., he goes to bed. I wait another half hour until his breathing is deep and even. Then I take my laptop, lock myself in the master bathroom, and sit on the edge of the tub. My hands are shaking as I open Proton Mail and paste in the text we prepared. I attach just enough of the evidence to be convincing, not so much that it's overwhelming. My finger hovers over the send button. This is the point of no return. I think of his smirk, of his behavior self, of the text where he called me simple, harmless, easy to manage. I click send. The email disappears into the digital void. I close the laptop and slip back into bed, careful not to wake him. He doesn't stir. I lie awake in the dark, wondering if I've just made a colossal mistake. The next morning, I check the anonymous account as soon as Hudson leaves. Nothing. By 10 a.m., nothing. By noon, I'm sure Morrison has deleted it or dismissed it as a prank. Then, at 1:30 p.m., the notification pings. Who is this? How did you get this? The email is short, aggressive, exactly what I would expect from a powerful man who's just been told some uncomfortable truths. I have the reply ready, the one I drafted with Carmen. I attach more proof, the screenshots of the texts between Hudson and Willow, hotel receipts, surveillance photos. Everything I said is true. See the attached. If you want more, I have it. I send it without a second thought. An hour goes by. Then, too, I clean, I cook, anything to keep my hands busy. My mind won't stop racing. At 4 p.m., another email comes through. I confronted her. She denies everything, says you're a disgruntled ex of mine, trying to screw with her. Who are you? I expected this. Willow is smart, manipulative. Of course she would deny it. I take a deep breath and type. I am not your ex. I am Hudson Whitmore's wife. My name is Bella. We have been married for 4 years, and we live in Lincoln Park. Everything I have told you is true. Willow is playing both of you. My husband has invited her to our home for Christmas dinner. He has told me to behave. He thinks I don't know anything. He thinks I'm too simple to notice. But I know everything. I have a proposal for you. Let's give them exactly what they want. A lovely Christmas dinner, all of us together. Let's see how Willow handles herself when she's exposed in front of everyone. If you're interested in seeing the truth come out, you'll respond. I hit send and feel a wave of nausea. I've just revealed my identity to a complete stranger. I've given him information that could blow this whole thing up if he decides to warn Hudson or Willow. I close the laptop and pace the apartment, unable to sit still. A day goes by, then 3. By November 13th, I'm convinced I've screwed up. Morrison isn't going to reply. He's probably warning Willow, who is warning Hudson, and my whole plan is going to collapse before it even begins. I'm in the kitchen, prepping dinner, when my laptop pings. I almost drop the knife. I walk over slowly and open the email. I'm in. What do you need from me? I read it 3 times to make sure it's real. Richard Morrison, the founding partner of Morrison and Blake, a powerful man used to being in charge, has just agreed to help me expose his mistress and my husband. I sink into a chair, my legs trembling. Carmen was right. Men like Morrison can't stand to be made a fool of. Their ego won't allow it. I type back quickly. Come to my apartment on Christmas Day at 6:30 p.m. I'll text you when to come up. Bring your wife. She deserves to know, too, and bring whatever evidence you've been able to gather from the office. The reply comes in minutes. Catherine will be there. I've spent the last 3 days collecting emails and security footage. Willow was careless at the office. She won't have a career left when this is over. I close the laptop and stand in my kitchen, surrounded by the perfectly curated trappings of my life, and I feel something shift inside me. I'm not alone anymore. I have allies. I have a plan. And in 6 weeks, Hudson and Willow are going to learn what happens when you underestimate the simple, harmless wife. Over the next 6 weeks, Richard and I exchange dozens of encrypted emails, coordinating every detail of what will happen on Christmas Day. The correspondence is cold, almost clinical, two betrayed people working together to ensure their deceivers are held accountable. Richard sends me evidence from the office security footage of Willow entering his office at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday when the building should have been empty, emails about strategy sessions that are clearly not about work. He is building a case to have her disbarred from Morrison and Blake with the same efficiency that he used to build the firm itself. Catherine knows everything, he writes in early December. She wants to be there when it happens. She deserves to see the look on Willow's face. The more witnesses, the better, I write back. Meanwhile, at home, I keep up the act with Hudson. In a strange way, it's easier now that I know there's an expiration date, December 25th, 6:30 p.m. After that, everything will change. Hudson brings up Willow constantly. Willow thinks we should diversify your portfolio. Willow recommended this wine. Before, every mention was a cut. Now, it's just confirmation that I'm doing the right thing. In mid-December, my sister Claire calls. Are we still on for Christmas at your place? The kids are dying to see the lights. Actually, I say, carefully, I was wondering if you could come by yourself this year. Just you. I know it sounds strange, but Bella, what's going on? You've been acting weird for weeks. I choose my words. I can't explain it all yet, but I need you to be there. And Claire? Bring your phone. You're going to want to record this. There's a long silence. Record what? Just trust me. Be here at 5:30, and no matter what happens, don't try to stop it. You're scaring me. Don't be scared. For the first time in a long time, I'm doing something for me. I hang up, and the words linger. For the first time, I'm doing something for me. 4 years of marriage, and this is the first time I've put my needs ahead of Hudson's comfort. The week before Christmas, Hudson takes me shopping for Willow's gift. We go to a boutique on Michigan Avenue, and he picks out an absurdly expensive dove gray cashmere scarf. What do you think? He asks, holding it up. Classy enough? I'm standing in a luxury store helping my husband buy a gift for his mistress, and he sees nothing wrong with this. It's perfect, I say. She'll love it, he beams. This is why I knew you'd be mature about this. You're not like other women. You don't get jealous or insecure. You trust our relationship. I want to laugh or scream. Instead, I just smile and suggest we have it gift-wrapped. On Christmas Eve, Hudson stays up late, wrapping. I watch from the bedroom doorway as he carefully folds the paper, creates an elaborate bow. He hums. He hums while he prepares a gift for the woman he's cheating on me with. It should hurt, but I feel nothing. The pain has turned into a cold anticipation. I barely sleep that night. I lie next to Hudson, staring at the ceiling, going over every detail of the next day's plan. For the first time, doubt creeps in. What if this goes wrong? What if a public takedown just makes me look vindictive instead of justified? What if Richard Morrison backs out? But then I think of the prenup, of the infidelity clause on page 17. If I don't do this, if I just quietly file for divorce, Hudson gets everything, and I walk away with $50,000 and the label of a failed wife. There is no other way. I wake up at 5 a.m. The adrenaline is already pumping. Hudson is sleeping soundly, a soft snore escaping his lips. I slip out of bed without a sound and go to the kitchen. The apartment is dark and quiet. Through the windows, I can see Chicago waking up, early morning joggers in the park, the sky beginning to lighten. I turn on the lights and start to cook. A prime rib roast, the expensive cut I had the butcher's special order a week ago. I rub it with salt, pepper, fresh rosemary, and garlic, and slide it into the oven. The smell immediately fills the apartment, rich and savory. Mashed potatoes, peeled by hand, cut, boiled until tender, then whipped with butter, heavy cream, and roasted garlic. My hands move on their own, the muscle memory of years spent cooking meals Hudson barely tasted. Brussels sprouts with bacon and a balsamic glaze, fresh rolls from the bakery on Armitage, picked up yesterday and stored carefully. Everything has to be perfect. This is the last meal I will ever cook as Hudson's wife. the last time I will ever play this part. As I work, I go over the timeline obsessively. Willow arrives at 6 p.m. We have drinks, make small talk, pretend everything is normal. At 6:25, I excuse myself to check on dessert. I take out my phone and send the text to Richard and Catherine Morrison. Now, they will be waiting in the lobby with Carmen, who will be filming everything. They will take the elevator up, I will open the door, and the whole thing will detonate. By noon, the roast is resting, the side dishes are prepped. I set the table with our wedding china, the gold-rimmed plates his mother chose that have always felt too formal, too cold. Today, they feel perfect. Crystal wine glasses that catch the winter light, silver candlesticks I polished until I could see my own reflection, 7 place settings. Hudson wanders out around 2 p.m., hair messy from sleep, wearing the cashmere robe I got him last Christmas. Phone in hand, probably already checking emails or texting Willow. 7 place settings, he says, frowning. Who else is coming? My heart gives a lurch, but I keep my voice casual. Just Claire. I know you said no, but it's Christmas. I thought you'd understand. He gives an annoyed sigh, but he doesn't suspect anything. Fine, whatever. Just tell her not to ask a bunch of personal questions. I don't want her grilling Willow about her work or making things weird. Of course, I say smoothly. I'll make sure everything is perfect. He doesn't ask about the other 2 place settings. He doesn't question the extra effort for what he thinks is a casual dinner. He is so certain of my obedience, so convinced of my simplicity, that he questions nothing. When he goes back to the bedroom, I stand alone in the dining room, looking at the 7 empty chairs. In a few hours, 7 people will sit here. 7 lives are about to change forever. Hudson thinks he's in control. He thinks tonight will go exactly as he's planned. A lovely dinner where he shows off his brilliant ex-girlfriend while his dutiful wife plays hostess. He thinks this is the beginning of the end, the setup for a clean divorce where he walks away with everything. He is so wrong. At 5:30 p.m., Claire arrives, right on time. She gives me a hug at the door, and I can feel her studying me. Are you okay? What is going on? She whispers. You've been so strange for weeks, and now we're having dinner with Hudson's ex. Bella, this isn't you. I glance over my shoulder to make sure Hudson is still in the bedroom. I can't explain everything yet. Just, when it starts, start recording on your phone and don't stop. No matter what. Her eyes widen. Record what, Bella? Just trust me, please. She searches my face for a long moment, then nods slowly. Okay, I trust you. Claire has never liked Hudson. She said I changed after we got married. Quieter, less confident, more apologetic. She's told me 1,000 times that I deserve better, that Hudson treats me more like a maid than a wife. Tonight, she's going to see exactly what kind of man I married. Hudson emerges at 5:50 p.m., wearing a hunter green sweater that I know cost more than I used to make in a week at my old job. His hair is perfect, his cologne expensive and subtle. He barely glances at Claire. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Hudson, Claire says, her tone neutral. I can see her hand tighten on her wine glass. She's already angry on my behalf, and she doesn't even know what's coming yet. At 6 p.m. on the dot, the doorbell rings. Hudson practically leaps from his chair. He smooths his sweater, runs a hand through his hair, and goes to the door with an eagerness I haven't seen him show for me in years. I stand in the kitchen, gripping the edge of the counter. This is it. The show is about to begin. I hear Hudson's voice, warm and intimate. Willow, you made it. A woman's voice, just as warm. Of course, Merry Christmas. I hear footsteps, the rustle of a coat being taken off. I take a deep breath, smooth down my red dress, a deliberate choice, something bold, something Hudson would never have suggested, and walk into the living room. Willow Brennan is as beautiful as her pictures. She's tall, at least 5'9", with a curtain of dark hair that falls in perfect waves. She's wearing a cream-colored cashmere sweater that I know is worth $1,000 and perfectly tailored black trousers. Her chocolate leather boots are expensive and elegant. She's carrying a bottle of wine, the label is at least $100, and a gift bag with Hudson's name on it, in beautiful calligraphy. Everything about her screams success, confidence, control. They are standing close together. I see her hand linger on his back for just a second too long. It's subtle, but I see it, so does Claire. I catch her eye, and she looks like she's about to throw her wine glass. Willow turns to me, her smile warm but appraising. You must be Bella. Thank you so much for having me in your beautiful home. Up close, I can see the calculation behind the warmth. She's sizing me up, looking for signs of suspicion or jealousy. She finds none. I am too well rehearsed. Of course, I say, taking her coat. Hudson has told me so much about you. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. The pleasure is all mine. She hands me the wine. I hope you like Burgundy. I'm sure it's perfect. I hang her coat in the closet. By the time I turn around, Hudson and Willow are already deep in a conversation about work. Claire is watching them with barely disguised disgust. Shall we sit down for dinner? I suggest brightly. We all move to the table. Hudson pulls out Willow's chair, a gesture he hasn't made for me in at least 2 years. She sits gracefully, running her hands over the tablecloth, admiring the place settings. Everything looks beautiful, Bella, she says. You've really outdone yourself. Thank you. I wanted tonight to be special. I mean it. This is a night no one will ever forget. I begin to serve, moving in and out of the kitchen with the efficiency of someone who has hosted dozens of these dinners. The prime rib, sliced perfectly, plated with the mashed potatoes and Brussels sprouts, everything arranged with care. Willow takes her plate with a grateful smile. This looks incredible, Bella. You're an artist in the kitchen. The condescension is subtle, but it's there. An artist in the kitchen, as if that's the highest praise I could ever hope to achieve. Thank you, I say smoothly. I've had a lot of practice. Hudson is already cutting into his roast, not waiting for anyone else. Willow watches him with an amused expression, sharing some private joke I'm not privy to. Claire has her fork suspended over her plate, her eyes darting between Hudson and Willow like she's watching a tennis match. So, Bella, Willow says, taking a sip of wine, Hudson mentioned you used to be an event planner. Here it is, the first jab. She knows exactly what she's doing. Yes, I was, I reply, taking my seat. Before we were married, how fun. Her enthusiasm is theatrical. What kind of events? Children's parties? Corporate cocktail hours? That sort of thing? Hudson lets out a short, dismissive laugh. My hand tightens on my wine glass. Claire's fork clatters against her plate. She was coordinating major corporate events. Claire cuts in. Product launches, charity galas. She was a senior coordinator at one of the top boutique agencies in Chicago. Willow's smile doesn't falter. How impressive. But you gave it up when you got married. Hudson and I decided it was best for me to focus on our home, I say, the lie flowing easily after years of practice. Of course, Willow says, but her tone is layered with pity and superiority. Not everyone is built for a high-pressure career. Some people are just a better fit for domestic life. A silence falls over the table. Even Hudson seems to realize she's gone too far. He clears his throat and changes the subject. Willow is about to make partner at Morrison & Blake, he announces, beaming with pride. The youngest woman in the firm's history. That's wonderful, I say. You must have worked very hard. I have, Willow confirms. She leans forward slightly, and her arm brushes against Hudson's. It's brief, casual, but I see it. Claire's jaw is clenched. The legal world is very competitive, Willow continues. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes to get ahead. The long hours, the difficult cases, navigating the office politics. She pauses, a meaningful look on her face. Not everyone has the stomach for it. She is talking about me, comparing her stellar career to my life as a homemaker, and finding me wanting. Hudson nods, oblivious to the insult. Or maybe not so oblivious, maybe he agrees. I imagine the office politics can be tricky, I say carefully, especially at a firm like Morrison & Blake. So many powerful personalities all in one place. You have no idea, Willow says, warming to the subject. The founding partners alone are brilliant but difficult. You have to know how to manage them, how to win them over. She is talking about Richard Morrison, about manipulating him. She is so certain I am too simple to understand the subtext. And how do you do that? I ask. Win over powerful men. For the first time, something flashes across her face. A flicker of uncertainty, as if she senses a double meaning, but it's gone as quickly as it came. Strategy, she says smoothly. Knowing what they need, anticipating their concerns, making yourself indispensable. Hudson is looking at her, completely captivated. Willow was always a genius at reading people, he says. She can walk into a room and understand the power dynamics instantly. That must be a useful skill, Claire says, her voice tight, to be able to manipulate situations to your advantage. Willow's smile sharpens. I prefer to call it strategic thinking. It's how you get ahead in a competitive field. The conversation continues like this. Willow holding court, Hudson fawning over her, Claire growing more and more furious. I maintain my mask of the gracious hostess, all while watching the clock. 6:10 p.m. 15 minutes. Willow launches into a story about a recent case. A complex piece of corporate litigation that she single-handedly resolved. She drops the names of partners, 7-figure settlements, her plans to expand her practice once she makes partner. Hudson hangs on her every word, asking questions, laughing, leaning towards her. He's treating her the way he used to treat me, in the beginning. Attentive, engaged, present. When was the last time he asked about my day? When was the last time he looked at me like that? I refill wine glasses, clear plates, serve the next course, the perfect hostess, the invisible wife. You know what I love about being back in Chicago? Willow says, helping herself to more wine. The energy. Boston was great for my career, but it never felt like home. Not like this. She looks at Hudson. This is where I'm meant to be. The subtext is clear. Here, with him. Hudson's smile is warm and genuine. I'm glad you're back. Me too, Willow says softly. The intimacy between them turns my stomach. Claire stands up abruptly. I need to use the restroom. I watch her go, her shoulders tense. As she passes behind Hudson, she mouths one word at me. When? 6:15 p.m. 10 minutes. I excuse myself to the kitchen, ostensibly to check on dessert. My hands are shaking, adrenaline finally breaking through my calm exterior. I grip the counter, taking deep breaths. From the doorway, I can hear Willow talking about a college trip to Michigan. A lake house. Remember that ridiculous canoe race? You were so competitive you insisted we had to win. We did win, Hudson says, because we cheated. I cheated, Willow laughs. You cut across the cove when the judge wasn't looking. They are creating their own little world at my dining room table. Shared memories, private jokes, staking their claim on my territory. Claire appears at my side. Bella, I swear to God, if you don't tell me what is happening right now, 6:25 p.m., I whisper, pointing at my phone. Watch what happens at 6:25. 8 minutes. I look her in the eye. Justice. She holds my gaze for a long moment, then nods slowly. Okay, I trust you. We walk back into the dining room. Willow is showing Hudson something on her phone pictures from that trip. No doubt, their heads are close together. They are laughing. They don't even notice us come back in. I sit down, force myself to eat a few bites of dessert that taste like cardboard. My entire body is coiled, tense, waiting. 6:20 p.m. Willow is talking about her new apartment in River North. You have to see it, Hudson. The views are spectacular. 40th floor. You can see all the way to the lake. I'd love that, he says, immediately. The invitation is brazen. She is inviting my husband to her home in front of me, without a trace of shame, because she doesn't think I matter. She thinks I am too simple, too passive, too well-trained to object. 6:22 p.m. You know, Willow says, leaning back in her chair with her wine glass. "This has been lovely, Bella." Hudson was right. "You are so gracious, the word Hudson used. Gracious, compliant, easy to manage. 6:23 p.m. I stand up. "Before we have dessert, I have one more surprise." Hudson looks up, mildly curious. "A surprise?" "Yes." I walk towards the front door, my heart hammering against my ribs. "You said you wanted to make this Christmas special, and I took you at your word. I've invited a few more people." Willow's eyes narrow, just slightly, but I catch it. She's smart. She senses danger, even if she can't identify it yet. "I thought Willow might like to see a few familiar faces," I continue. Willow's wineglass freezes halfway to her lips. 6:24 p.m. I take out my phone, my thumb hovering over the pre-written text message to Richard Morrison. Hudson is frowning now. "What do you mean, more guests?" I press send. "You'll see in just a moment." The room is silent. Claire has her phone up, her expression alert. 30 seconds pass. 45. The doorbell rings. The sound cuts through the room like a gunshot. Hudson looks at the door, then at me, confused. "Who is it?" "It's your surprise," I say, my own smile finally breaking through the mask. I walk to the door and open it. Richard Morrison is standing in the hallway. He is tall and imposing in a charcoal gray overcoat, his face a mask of controlled fury, his jaw tight, his eyes like ice chips. Behind him stands a woman in her 50s with silver blonde hair and ice blue eyes. Catherine Morrison, dressed in an elegant black dress and a diamond necklace that is worth more than my car. "Hello, Richard," Willow whispers. "What are you doing here?" "Hello, Richard," Catherine says, her voice dangerously low. "Thank you for the invitation, Mrs. Whitmore." I step aside. The moment Willow sees Richard, all the color drains from her face. Her wineglass slips from her fingers and shatters on the floor, red wine splashing across the white tablecloth like a spreading bloodstain. "What?" Hudson says, standing up so fast his chair crashes backward. "What is going on, Bella? Who are these people?" I close the door with a soft click that echoes in the sudden silence. "Sit down, Hudson," I say, my voice calm. "This is just getting started." Catherine Morrison shrugs off her coat slowly, draping it over the back of an empty chair. She moves like a woman who has already decided how this evening will end and is merely going through the necessary steps. Richard steps fully into the room, and I close the door behind him. The soft click of the deadbolt sounds unnaturally loud in the silent apartment. "Everyone, please, sit down," I say, my voice firm. "We have a lot to talk about." Hudson is still standing, his chair overturned behind him. "Bella, what is this? Who are these people?" "Sit down, Hudson," I repeat. He doesn't move, his eyes darting from me to Richard, to Catherine, to Willow, trying to piece it all together. "This is Richard Morrison," I say, gesturing as if I'm making a normal introduction. "The founding partner of Morrison and Blake. Your boss, actually." I pause. "And your girlfriend's other boyfriend." The words land like a bomb. Hudson's face goes blank. "What?" "And this," I continue, indicating Catherine, "is his wife. She's here because she deserves to know what Willow has been up to." Willow is bone white, her hands gripping the table as if it's the only thing holding her up. Claire is filming with her phone, her mouth hanging open. "Bella," Hudson starts, but I cut him off. "Sit down." Something in my voice finally makes him obey. He rights his chair and sinks into it, looking stunned. Catherine takes a seat in one of the empty chairs, her back ramrod straight, her hands folded in her lap. Richard remains standing, his arms crossed, his face like granite. I walk over to the sideboard where I've placed the tablet Hudson gave me last Christmas. The irony is not lost on me. I've been documenting everything for the last 6 weeks, I say, connecting it to the television, and I think it's time we all saw the truth. The screen flickers to life. I open the first folder. Photos fill the 70-inch screen. Hudson and Willow, at the bar, in the Four Seasons lobby, sitting close, his hand on her knee. The date stamp reads September 14th, a Thursday. 2:15 p.m. That was your client lunch, I say to Hudson conversationally. Remember? You said you couldn't make my birthday dinner because of an important client. Next photo. Hudson and Willow in a parking garage, kissing against his car, grainy but clear. October 3rd, working late on the quarterly reports. Another one. Willow walking into a hotel. Hudson follows 30 seconds later. October 18th, another late night at the office. I keep clicking. Restaurants, hotels, his car, her apartment building, every photo date, and time-stamped like a legal exhibit. Hudson's face morphs from confusion to horror. Bella, where did you? How? I hired an investigator, I say simply. After I saw your texts, you left your phone unlocked one night. Did you know that? He looks at me as if he's never seen me before. But wait, I say, opening another folder. Because Willow wasn't just seeing you, Hudson. New photos appear. Willow and Richard at Alinea, their hands clasped on the table, the intimacy obvious. November 8th, a Wednesday night. Another one. Willow entering Richard's office at 11 p.m. She leaves at 2 a.m. She's been sleeping with Richard Morrison, your boss, to secure her partnership. Show them the texts. Richard's voice is ice. He's pulled up the screenshots Carmen took from Willow's poorly secured accounts. Messages between Willow and Richard. I read them aloud. Hudson is so easy to manage. He actually thinks I would choose him, a mid-level analyst, over a founding partner. Hudson makes a strange, choked sound. Catherine speaks for the first time. Her voice frosted glass. Keep reading. Next message. Hudson keeps asking when I'm going to tell his wife about us. It's getting so tedious. This isn't Willow starts, but Richard cuts her off. Don't. Do not do that. I continue. I'm using his apartment as a motel because Catherine checks your credit card statements. Hudson is such a fool he doesn't even notice your cologne on my clothes. The words hang in the air. This one is my favorite, I say. Hudson told me I was his soulmate last night. I had to fake a phone call so I wouldn't laugh in his face. Hudson looks at Willow, and something shatters in his eyes. The certainty that everything he believed was a lie. There's more. Hudson keeps talking about our future, about getting serious after he divorces Bella, as if I would ever throw away my career for some desperate analyst who still believes in true love. The room is dead silent except for my voice. He's beneath me. He always has been. But he's useful. His apartment, his devotion, his willingness to believe anything I say. I'll keep him around until he's not useful anymore. Hudson's face has crumpled. I don't feel satisfaction. I feel something colder. You called me simple. You planned to humiliate me. Now you know how it feels. You knew, I say, speaking directly to him now. You knew Willow called you desperate for months. You knew she never planned to be with you, that she was always going to choose Richard once she made partner. He opens his mouth, but nothing comes out. Willow, who has been frozen until now, finally cracks. She stands up, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. You're all beneath me, she says, and it sounds like a snarl. The polished lawyer is gone. What's left is something raw and ugly. Hudson, you are pathetic, clinging to some teenage crush fantasy. You were always just a stepping stone, a warm body for when Richard was playing daddy. Hudson shrinks in his chair as if he's been struck. Willow turns her venom on Richard. And you think I would throw away my career for you? You're married with 3 kids. You were never going to leave Catherine, and we both knew it. You were just another means to an end. And the end was? Richard asks, his voice dangerously low. Partnership, obviously. Willow's laugh is bitter. You actually thought I was sleeping with you because I liked you, because I cared. God, you men are so predictable. All that power, and you think your job title makes you irresistible. Catherine stands up slowly. You won't have a career after tonight. I will be calling every partner at Morrison and Blake. You will be blackballed from every major firm in Chicago. You think you can scare me? Willow retorts, but there's a note of desperation in her voice. I've always landed on my feet. Not this time, Richard says. I already have it all documented. Emails from your work account, security footage of you in my office after hours. The firm's morality clause is very clear about relationships that compromise professional integrity. Willow's mask is shattered. You're just jealous. All of you, jealous that I'm smarter than you, more ambitious, more willing to do what it takes. Hudson was easy because he's weak. Richard was easy because he's arrogant. And Bella, she glares at me with pure contempt. She was easy because she's simple. There it is again. Was I ask softly, because it seems to me that the simple wife just orchestrated this entire evening. I documented everything, hired an investigator, found your other victim, and convinced him to help me. I planned this dinner down to the minute. Does that seem simple to you, Willow? She has no answer. I walk to the Christmas tree and retrieve a decorative box I hid there this morning. Inside are the papers Victoria Pierce, my lawyer, prepared last week. Hudson, I say, returning to the table. Do you remember the prenup you had me sign 4 years ago? His red-rimmed eyes focus on me. The one that leaves me with almost nothing if I file for divorce within 5 years. The one your lawyer designed to trap me. I open the box and pull out the papers. There's an infidelity clause, page 17. If I can prove you cheated, the entire prenup is void. I place them in front of him. These are divorce papers. My lawyer is filing them Monday morning. Thanks to the evidence I've gathered, months of texts, dozens of photos, hotel receipts, bank statements, and the testimony of a former Chicago police detective, the prenup will not protect you. Hudson stares at the papers as if they're written in a foreign language. I get half of everything, I continue. The apartment, which was purchased with my inheritance, your retirement plan, your investments, your savings. Everything will be divided according to Illinois state law. I gesture to the doorway where Carmen has been filming everything. Carmen Delgado, former detective, now a private investigator, has witnessed and recorded this entire evening. Everything is evidence. Hudson looks up at me, and I see the exact moment he understands. You planned all this, he says slowly. You invited them. You exposed us. You've been playing me this whole time. You told me to behave, I answer softly, and I have behaved beautifully. I smiled and cooked and hosted your work dinners and played the dutiful wife while I documented every single lie you told. I lean forward, so he has to look me in the eye. You called me simple. You called me easy to manage, easy to control. You were planning to humiliate me by making me serve dinner to your mistress. You wanted me to file for divorce so you could play the victim and keep everything. My voice is steady, cold. So yes, Hudson, I planned it all, every last detail, because you underestimated me, and that was your single greatest mistake. Hudson sits silently at the table, the divorce papers clutched in his hand, his eyes lost. No one moves, no one speaks. Then Willow breaks. She grabs her coat from the closet, her hands shaking so badly she can't get it on. She just clutches it to her chest and flees for the door. The sound of her expensive heels is frantic on the hardwood floors, a sharp, desperate clicking. The door slams shut behind her. We can hear her stumbling down the hall toward the elevator. Richard Morrison gets to his feet slowly, his movements controlled, his face still a stone mask. "Catherine," he says softly, "let's go." But Catherine doesn't move right away. She walks over to me, her back straight despite everything. Up close, I can see the fine lines around her eyes, the tension in her jaw. This is a woman who has endured pain but will not break in public. "Thank you," she says, so quietly only I can hear. "Thank you for telling me the truth, for giving me the proof I needed." "I'm sorry it had to be this way," I reply. She gives a small shake of her head. "Don't be. If you hadn't done this, I might never have known. We have 3 children. I needed to understand what kind of woman was trying to destroy my family." She pauses. "And what kind of man I'm married to." She looks over at Richard, and something cold passes over her face. "You're stronger than you think," she says to me. "Don't ever forget that." She turns and walks to the door. Richard follows her. In the hallway, I hear Catherine's voice, sharp as a shard of glass. Don't you dare try to justify this. Richard's reply is too low to hear. Catherine's is not. 23 years of marriage, and this is what you do. We'll talk at home. With my lawyer present, the elevator dings, and their voices are gone. Claire is still standing by the table, her phone in her hand. She's stopped recording. She looks at Hudson, then at me, unsure if she should stay or give us space. Claire, I say softly, give us a minute. She nods and slips into the living room, far enough away to give us privacy, close enough to intervene if needed. Hudson finally looks at me. His eyes are red. He looks 10 years older than he did an hour ago. Where am I supposed to go? He asks, his voice cracking. Bella, where do I go? He sounds like a lost, helpless child. A small, shameful part of me wants to comfort him. 4 years of conditioning doesn't just disappear in one night. 4 years of putting his needs first, of smoothing over his problems, of being the solution instead of the stress. But I crush the impulse. I don't care where you go, I say. This apartment is mine. You have until Monday to get your things. After that, I'm changing the locks. Bella, please. No, I say, my voice firm. You made your choices. You called me simple. You told Willow I was easy to manage. You planned to humiliate me by having me serve dinner to your mistress in my own home. I didn't mean, it doesn't matter what you meant. It matters what you did. I take a breath. You have 2 days to get your essentials. Anything you leave behind, I will donate. Get out. He stands slowly, as if every joint aches. He picks up his coat from the chair where he left it when he thought this was going to be a pleasant dinner party. At the door, he turns one last time. I'm sorry, he whispers. For everything. I know that doesn't fix it, but I am sorry. Sorry isn't enough, I say. The door closes with a soft click that sounds deafening in the silence. I stand there, staring at the closed door. The apartment is silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic below. Claire appears at my side. Bella? And then I break. My legs give out, and I sink into the nearest dining chair. The sobs come from somewhere deep inside, a place I've kept locked down for weeks. They are ugly, ragged sobs that ache in my chest and burn my throat. Claire kneels and wraps her arms around me. I'm here. I'm right here, sis. Let it out. I cry for the marriage I thought I had, for the man I thought Hudson was, for the 4 years I spent shrinking myself, believing that was love. I cry for the woman I was when I met him, confident and career-driven and independent, and for the woman I became, small and accommodating and invisible. Carmen moves silently around the apartment, giving us space. I can hear her packing up her equipment, taking photos of the destroyed dinner table for my legal file, being professional, efficient, letting me fall apart without making me feel watched. Why don't I feel better? I ask through my tears. I won. I exposed them both. I'm getting everything. Why do I feel like this? Claire smooths the hair back from my face, the way our mom used to when we were kids. Because you loved him. Because you believed in your marriage. Revenge doesn't erase that pain. It just proves you were strong enough to fight back. I don't feel strong. I feel broken. You're both. You can be both. She holds me tighter. You just burned your whole life to the ground, Bella. It's okay to grieve what you lost, even if you had to lose it. Carmen approaches quietly. I'm going to go. I'll have the full report for your lawyer by tomorrow afternoon. If you need anything at all, you call me, day or night. I manage a nod. She squeezes my shoulder once, and then she's gone. Claire helps me clear the table, scraping the untouched food into the trash, loading the wedding china I will probably never use again into the dishwasher. She finds a tablecloth in the linen closet and drapes it over the red wine stain on the white one. We'll deal with this later, she says. Come home with me, she offers. You shouldn't be alone tonight. I shake my head. I need to stay here. I need to, I don't know, process. Are you sure? I'm sure. She hugs me tight at the door. Call me if you need anything. I don't care what time it is. 2 a.m. You call. I know, thank you. When she's gone, I'm left in the apartment that suddenly feels cavernous and empty. I walk through the rooms slowly, seeing them with new eyes. The kitchen, where I spent hours cooking meals Hudson barely tasted. The living room, where I hosted his colleagues and played the perfect hostess. The bedroom, where we shared a bed but had stopped sharing everything else. Hudson's presence is everywhere. His clothes in the closet, expensive suits and cashmere sweaters, all perfectly organized, his toiletries lined up by height on his side of the bathroom counter, his laptop on the desk in what used to be our guest room and became his home office. I start gathering his things, not neatly, just yanking clothes from hangers and piling them near the door. I want him gone. I want to erase every trace of him from my space. But some things aren't so easy to remove. The photos on the walls, our wedding picture, the two of us smiling like we actually believed in forever. A weekend in Door County from our first year of marriage, Hudson's arm tight around my waist, the two of us at his company Christmas party, dressed up as the perfect couple. Was any of it real? Or was I always just playing a part in his life? I take down the wedding photo and place it face down on the sideboard. I can't look at it right now. The couch we bought together is still here. We spent an entire Saturday in furniture stores, arguing between leather and fabric. We settled on this gray sectional that neither of us loved, but both of us could tolerate. That was our marriage, I realize. A series of compromises where I gave up what I wanted and settled for what he would tolerate. I pour myself a glass of wine, the expensive bottle Willow brought, ironically, and stand at the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lincoln Park. The city sprawls below me, glittering and indifferent. Somewhere out there, Hudson is figuring out where to sleep tonight. Willow is probably already calling friends, spinning the story to make herself the victim. Richard and Catherine Morrison are having a conversation that might end their marriage or save it. And I am here, in this apartment that is finally all mine, feeling hollow despite the victory. I won. I got everything I wanted from this revenge. Hudson is exposed, humiliated, and will lose everything. Willow's career is destroyed. I get to keep the apartment, half our assets, and my dignity. So why does it feel like I've lost something, too? I don't sleep. I can't. I sit on the gray couch we bought together and watch the sky turn from black to navy to a pale, bruised pink as dawn breaks. My phone sits on the coffee table, lighting up occasionally with notifications. A text from Claire. Thinking of you. Call if you need me. An email from Carmen with preliminary notes. A voicemail from my lawyer I haven't listened to yet. At 7 a.m., the phone rings. I answer it without looking at the screen. Bella, it's Victoria Pierce, my lawyer says, her voice brisk and professional. She's excited. This case just became the highlight of her month. Carmen sent me the video from last night. It's perfect. Crystal clear, documented, multiple witnesses. Hudson won't fight this. He can't. The evidence is overwhelming. Good, I say, my own voice sounding flat even to me. The papers are being filed at 9 a.m. sharp. You'll be granted temporary sole possession of the apartment, and Hudson will be served at his office. More witnesses, more public humiliation, just like you wanted. Given the circumstances and the strength of our evidence, I expect we can have this divorce settled in 3 months. 3 months. 90 days until this marriage is legally, officially, history. You'll retain full ownership of the apartment, Victoria continues, reading from her notes. You'll get half of all marital assets, including his retirement plan and investment accounts. And given the timeline of the affair, especially the adultery during your attempts to conceive, we'll be suing for significant damages for emotional distress. She's thrilled. This is a win for her, a case she'll tell future clients about. But all I can think about is the woman I was a year ago, happy and trusting, planning a future with the man I loved. That woman is gone, and I'm the one who killed her. Thank you, Victoria. Get some rest, she says. On Monday, we start the next phase. I hang up and just sit there, staring at my phone. Carmen calls. Her voice is softer, concerned. How are you holding up? I don't know. That's normal. You just orchestrated one of the most dramatic confrontations I've seen in 15 years. You blew up 2 affairs, destroyed a manipulator's career, and filed for divorce, all in one night. It's okay to feel like crap. I thought I would feel different, stronger, more sure of myself. Revenge is complicated, Carmen says. It's not like the movies, where the hero rides off into the sunset. You did what you had to do to protect yourself, to get what you deserved. But that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. I close my eyes. Did I do the right thing? Yes, she says, without hesitation. What was the alternative? Let him divorce you on his terms, take everything, and leave you with nothing? Let him get away with calling you simple and treating you like you didn't matter? She's right. I know she is, but knowing doesn't fill the emptiness. One day at a time, Carmen says. Today, you rest. Monday, we move forward. For now, just breathe. I hang up and finally lie down on the couch. The apartment is silent except for the distant sounds of the waking city. I close my eyes and drift in and out of a restless sleep, one where Hudson's voice mixes with Willow's, where I keep seeing the look on his face when he understood what I had done. I feel powerful and helpless all at once. I survived. I fought back. I won. But I still don't know what comes after winning. Monday comes. I force myself to get up, to shower, to put on clean clothes. My eyes are puffy from crying, and I look like I haven't slept, because I haven't. But I make myself presentable. At 9:30, Victoria calls to confirm the papers have been filed. Hudson was served at his office 20 minutes ago, in front of his colleagues. The public humiliation I wanted. How did he react? I ask, not sure why I care. According to the process server, he went pale and walked away without a word. Thank you. I hang up. The next few days are a blur. Hudson comes on Tuesday with a moving company to get his things while I stay in the bedroom. I don't want to see him. I don't want to hear any apologies or pleas. Claire stays with me that day, a physical barrier between us. By Wednesday, most of him is gone. The apartment feels cavernous, empty, but also lighter. The divorce moves quickly. With Carmen's evidence and the video from the dinner, Hudson's lawyer advises him not to fight. The prenup is void, the adultery documented beyond question. By the end of January, we're just negotiating details, the division of assets, the terms of the settlement. Hudson agrees to everything Victoria asks for. I think he just wants it to be over. He wants to disappear and start over somewhere far away from the wreckage of his reputation. In February, I hear through the grapevine that Willow Brennan has left Chicago. Morrison and Blake fired her within 48 hours of Christmas, and no other major firm would touch her. The legal world is small, and news travels fast. Catherine Morrison files for divorce from Richard in early March. I see it in the public records. She's asking for full custody of the children and the majority of their assets. I hope she gets all of it. My own divorce is finalized on March 12th, a Tuesday that feels like any other day, except that it marks the legal end of my marriage. I am now the sole owner of my apartment. Hudson is gone. With his car, half of his retirement plan, and about 30% of what he started with. I got everything else. And slowly, so slowly I almost don't notice it happening, I start to rebuild. First, I redecorate. I can't stand the grays and creams Hudson insisted on, the furniture that matched his aesthetic, not mine, the art he chose as an investment, not because it moved him. I paint the living room a deep, warm blue. I buy throw pillows in burnt orange and gold. I hang art. I actually love abstract pieces by local artists. Photographs of Chicago neighborhoods. A painting of Lake Michigan that calms me. His home office becomes my art studio. I'd stopped painting years ago when Hudson needed the space for his work. Now I buy canvases and oils and spend hours creating abstract pieces that help me process everything. The bedroom is transformed. No more stark white linens and minimalism. Now, the walls are sage green, there are soft textures, plants everywhere. It's a sanctuary, not a showroom. I cut my hair shorter, a practical style for the morning runs I've started taking through Lincoln Park. I buy clothes that feel like me, comfortable jeans, oversized sweaters, things Hudson would never have approved of. The woman in the mirror barely looks like the one from a year ago. She's thinner from all the running, stronger from literally rebuilding her life. Her eyes are different, sharper, more aware, less trusting, but more self-assured. She has learned that kindness without boundaries is self-destruction, that love without respect is control, that sometimes the only way to survive is to fight back with everything you have. At the end of March, something unexpected happens. I get an email through the forum where I first found Carmen months ago. A woman named Jennifer writes to me. She found my story in the threads and is going through something similar. Her husband is manipulative, dismissive, and she's just found proof of an affair. I read what you did, she writes, how you gathered proof and fought back. I don't know if I can do that, but I wanted to reach out, just to know I'm not alone. I write back immediately. We set up a call. Jennifer is 34, married 7 years, no kids. Her husband controls their finances, criticizes everything she does, has isolated her from her friends and family. The pattern is so familiar it makes my chest ache. We talk for 3 hours. I tell her about Carmen, about Victoria Pierce, about the importance of documenting everything before she makes a move. I walk her through the steps I took, the mistakes I almost made, the things I wish I'd known. By the end, she's crying, but they aren't tears of despair. They are tears of someone who finally believes escape is possible. "Thank you," she says. "I thought I was trapped. I thought I was crazy." "You're not crazy," I say. "And you're not trapped. You can get out of this." She files for divorce in April. After Jennifer, more women reach out. 3 in May, 7 in June. Word spreads through the online communities. There's a woman in Chicago who helps people escape difficult marriages, who connects them with resources, who has been through it herself. I start doing formal consultations. Not therapy, I'm not qualified for that, but strategic planning. How to document abuse, how to find a good PI, how to understand your prenup and your rights, how to build a case that will hold up in court. I charge on a sliding scale. Some women pay my full rate, some pay next to nothing. I help them all. By mid-June, I realize I've accidentally created a business. Not event planning, the thing Hudson always called frivolous, but something meaningful that helps women reclaim their lives. One morning, on my usual run, my phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. "Hi Bella, you don't know me, but I found your name on a support forum. I'm going through something similar. My husband has been gaslighting me for years, and I just found proof of an affair. I read your story. It gave me courage. Thank you." I stop running, right in the middle of the path, as other joggers flow around me. My story is out there, being shared, helping women I will never even meet. I text back, "You are stronger than you think. If you need help, reach out. You are not alone." The reply is immediate. "Can we talk? I'm scared to leave." I find a bench and call her. Her name is Michelle. She's 32, married 6 years. Her husband doesn't hit her, she clarifies, as if that matters, as if emotional abuse is less valid. But he controls everything, the money, her schedule, her friendships, her self-esteem. "I just thought I was too sensitive," she says. "He always tells me I'm too emotional, too dramatic, that I make problems where there aren't any. You're not too sensitive," I say. "That's what he wants you to believe." It's easier to control someone who doubts themselves. We talk for over an hour. By the end, she has a plan. Document everything. Open a secret bank account. Contact Carmen for surveillance. Call Victoria to understand her legal options. "You've given me hope," she says before she hangs up. "I didn't think there was a way out. Now I can see a path." After the call, I sit on the bench, watching the city move. Joggers, dog walkers, families with strollers. I think about the network we're weaving, women helping women, sharing information, refusing to be silenced. Hudson called me harmless, simple, easy to manage. He was wrong about everything. The Saturday after that call, I wake up feeling different. Not happy healing doesn't work like that, but lighter, more settled. I lace up my sneakers and head out into a perfect June day. The park is alive with summer. Vendors are setting up near the lake, kids are playing soccer, couples are holding hands. I run my usual 5 miles, pushing myself hard, feeling the burn in my muscles and the expansion of my lungs. Around mile 3, I realize something. I'm not running from anything anymore. I'm running toward something, toward the life I'm building, toward the woman I'm becoming. The woman I am now understands that self-respect is non-negotiable, that being told to behave is not love, it's control, that sometimes the only way to survive is to fight back with everything you have. I still have bad days. Days when I'm angry that I lost 4 years to Hudson. Days when I grieve the marriage I thought I had. Days when the betrayal stings like it was yesterday. But I have good days, too. Days when a client tells me I saved her life. Days when I paint something beautiful in my studio. Days when I look around my apartment and feel at home for the first time in years. My phone buzzes with a text from Claire. "Brunch this weekend. You're bringing the champagne. We're celebrating 6 months of you being a badass." I smile. Not the small, accommodating smile of my marriage, but something real and fierce. Of course. And I'm bringing the expensive stuff. That's my girl. So proud of you, sis. I finish my run and walk the cool-down lap back toward my building, my apartment, my sanctuary that I fought for and won. I take the stairs instead of the elevator, feeling the burn in my legs, feeling alive. The apartment smells like the coffee I programmed to brew before I left. Morning light streams through the windows, illuminating the blue walls, the colorful art, the thriving plants. The space is mine. Not Hudson's, not ours, mine. I pour a cup of coffee and stand at the window, looking down at the park. The view that once felt like a cage now feels like a possibility. I was Bella Whitmore, the woman who was told to behave, the woman who was called simple and easy to manage, the woman who was supposed to disappear quietly after her divorce. Instead, I became something else. Stronger, unbreakable. I chose rebellion over submission, justice over silence, my own freedom over his comfort. And now, I am just Bella. Not defined by my marriage, or my divorce, or my revenge. Just me. For the first time in 5 years, I'm not afraid of what comes next. I'm ready. My phone buzzes again. Another woman, reaching out. Another person who needs help finding her way out. I smile and pick up the phone. This is who I am now. This is what I do. I help women stop being harmless, and I have never been more proud of anything in my life. If this story of calculated justice had you glued to the screen, smash that like button now. My favorite part was when Bella opened the door and Richard Morrison walked in. Seeing the color drain from Hudson's face was priceless. What was your favorite moment? Let me know in the comments. Don't miss out on more powerful revenge stories like this one.